Hello out there world, mongoose conservation friends. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's Sunday the 16th of June 2024 and I'm here at the Meerkat Mansion Research Base of the Meerkat Magic Conservation Project in the Meerkat Magic Valley Reserve, and there's a special surprise today for those who follow Mongoose Magic Moments, because the dominant male, Giabongo, who I have not seen in over a month, is here near the house busy foraging for juicy Coleoptera larvae, the succulent beetle grubs that are abundant now after the rainfall, and he is with the dominant female, Gakulu. Again, Giabonga in Zulu is thank you, Gakulu very much. So let's have a look. This is a fig tree that I planted here and protected from the frost. All right, there are lots of old bits of farming apparatus lying around. Here's the dominant female, busy having an auto groom. I was just standing over there a moment ago. They're easy to lose sight of, but that bright white patch on the tail is very distinctive. And here comes the dominant male. He's quite a lot more wary because I haven't seen him for over a month now. And he's obviously been marking his territory. He's very preoccupied. Let's see if I can get closer. Of course, I have to be very careful. As you can see here, there's a huge amount of under the foot foliage that can cause a disturbance. All of these beautiful plants that are coming up now are actually very, very well known in Europe. This is Malva parviflora. It's basically like spinach and can of course be eaten like a vegetable. Many people in this area have no idea that that is the case, however, so they see it as just a weed, but this entire area is full of food if you know where to look. The porcupine also eats this. All right, back to Mongoose Magic Moments. I will put this video up on my main channel on YouTube. You can just do a search for the Meerkatman, the Mongoose Man, and you'll find me there. I will also put this on my social media channels on TikTok. You can also look for the handle there, Meerkatman again, and on Instagram, Meerkatman, and on the Facebook free to join groups, Mongoose Magic Moments and Meerkat Magic Moments. All right, let's have a zoom. I'm using a new phone upgrade now. Oh, it's much better. You seeing this for the very first time as I'm seeing it. This will be an unedited wildlife documentary, so anything can happen. The dominant female is being quite alert now because a moment ago you may have heard the birds calling in the distance, Hardy-dar ibis, Bostrichia haggardash. Again, I use scientific names because there are thousands of common names which can get very confusing, especially since many of them are given for the same animal species in one area and then completely different animal species in another area, the same names. So it can be very misleading. And in South Africa, the last I checked, as many of you will know, there are 11 official languages. 11. So yeah, there's only one scientific name per species around the planet. So this is Cynictis Penicillata, and then Bostrichia haggardash, Hardy-dar ibis. You can Google search that if you like. They're harmless birds, but they can be part of the vigilance network, neighborhood watch as I call it here, because they can also alarm suddenly if there are predators nearby disturbing them. And of course, as I've discussed in my previous videos, I have been following this mongoose family group since 2008 on my private reserve. Going past Cochinus mole, this is the Californian pepper tree. You can see the ornamental pink berries. They're starting to turn pink. Just giving you a little guide as I go past the area. This is a highly drought-resistant tree. Systems that often blow over in the Kalahari desert because they are quick-growing. They're planted around farmsteads. This reminds me a bit of Queen Elizabeth Park in Uganda, where I was fortunate enough to do some research on mongoose, banded mongoose, sociable mongoose species, the Groups can range from 40 to 60 individuals. It's incredible. And they will head into dense vegetation, not dissimilar to this, and they'll simply vanish. And this is when it becomes especially important. You may have heard that crunching twig a moment ago. That would have alarmed and scared these animals a moment ago. However, my talking has masked that sound, and they are familiar with my voice, so I can deliberately increase my volume, which is also important. If I'm always talking softly, that's all they will be accustomed to, and a loud crunching sound would then be easily heard by them and disturb them. I don't ever want them to ignore these sounds because that would tame them, and it's very easy to tame animals, and that's a big ethical mistake, because what can happen then is they are used to those sounds, and when predators make those sounds, they will no longer alarm as they should to those early warning signals. Yeah, there's lots of crunchy twigs here. Going to try and get us closer. Living at the back of the research base, which not very many people have seen, which is where we are now, there are lots of fruit trees, fig trees, peach trees, apricot trees, pomegranate trees. I've got grapes, I've got pineapple, guava, many different plants. This is my solar panel shower system over here that I've made myself. It works very well. There are small grey mongooses living in this pipe system at the back of the house, 4 of them. They are, of course, very wary of any disturbances. And as you can see here, there's lots of old rotting vegetation making beautiful hideouts for many animal species, which is the point. I'm going to keep calling because they're in this vegetation, but shortly they will no doubt move through it. I know exactly where all the escape tunnels are, their main burrow systems, so I can get an idea of which area they're going to next. But this will give you an example of what it's like for anybody else to walk through this area. There's no chance that you will see wildlife. There we go. The only reason I'm seeing her now, she's come through the vegetation, and I'll zoom in. She's not even looking at me. She's fully aware of where I am. She's not ignoring me, and this is important to make a note about this. She is not ignoring me. She knows where I am. She's tolerating me because I've never disturbed her. I'm talking about over a decade of work here. It's now 2024, so 2008. Yeah, it's a long time. All right, she's in this vegetation now. Before much longer, she'll move through it, and then we may get a better look. This is actually a very rare snapshot into a wild yellow mongoose's life. In fact, out of 8 billion plus people, right now I'm the only person on the planet who's this close to a wild yellow mongoose. Fact. Alright, she's going to be moving through this at some stage. This is one of the irrigation canals. I call these wildlife highways because when they don't have water in them going to the main Stone Dojo Gym Dam, again you can Google search any of these names. This goes for many kilometers through my reserve. It's a private canal. Alright, she's gone back around that way. I'm actually glad I'm filming this exactly as it is, and it will stay unedited, because this is what many people don't get to see with real wildlife. There's music in the background, lots of jump cut edits, inserts, and all sorts of things. That's not a real documentary. This is real. The behind the scenes in science. It's going into areas that I have never actually walked on with yellow mongooses around me. And this is a new route, in fact. And there must be a lot of food in this area that she's staying here for such a long time. I'm going to keep filming. There she is. All right. You need to be extremely vigilant when you work with wildlife like this. It's not like an elephant or rhinoceros. Big animals don't go into burrows and just disappear. These animals can vanish at a moment's notice. And that's a notice to them, not to the viewer, because the chances are most people will not even see where the animals have gone to. Anybody who is with me will also be tolerated by the study animals I'm with, as can be seen in my work in the Kalahari Desert with wild meerkats since 1993. And these contact calls are still in use all around the different study sites I've worked in. All right, let's head back this way. For those who know this plant, this is the oxalis species. It is very edible, in fact, and some people call it the 3-leaf clover, 4-leaf clover. I'm going to just pick this and demonstrate very quickly to you that it can be eaten. Let's have a look. Hello again, everyone. Wow, that is very bitter and very tasty. It's because it's full of oxalic acid, which can remove ink stains and rust stains and grease, incidentally. Let's get back to the mongooses. I'm also having a snack. There are lots of things to eat in this area if you know where to look. I suspect what's happening now, as we move through the equivalent of a jungle, there she goes. Wow, she's covering a lot of ground quickly. You're getting to see the behind the house scene as well now. Still looking for the dominant male. He'll be fairly close. All right. Notice that I'm... All right, I was able to call over that. I have many different calls. That's only one of the louder calls I can make because of this. This is the equivalent of a booby. All these dried fig leaves over here. Yeah, so I stopped immediately and used what I call a displacement reassurance, which is a call over the disturbing sounds that predators might make. Again, when I'm not around, they won't hear the calls. They'll only hear the sounds and react as they would and carry on doing now. All right, that's a fiscal shrike, Lanius calaris. That was a brief alarm, in fact, warning them about me. Yeah, that's still an alarm. Up in the tree there, in the pepper tree. Just letting them know, hey, did you know there's this thing here? And she has reacted because she hasn't seen me now. She's reacted to the alarm into the distance there towards the stone dojo. Now, she used this route not long ago. I'm going to keep following. I'll pick up the pace now. All right. For those who tuned in for my last stream, you will recognize this route because in the distance is the Stone Dojo Gym. You can Google Map search for it. It's unique on the planet, all built by my hands over many, many years of dragging huge boulders and rocks, some of them over a ton, up onto the biggest hill on the reserve. No machinery has been used. I won't go into all the details now. There are many videos about building it, and it is a community gym which is free to the entire reserve community to use. All right, just moving on. It's just rare to see her move past this area. Going past a tree. For those who tuned in for the previous video, you'll recognize this area because she scent marked the exact route. And this is actually quite an unusual video because I never thought she would be coming past here. Imagine a spider web made up of smell. It's a strange concept, and I'm going to illustrate my point now. Imagine we had infrared goggles on, and smell was the equivalent of infrared light. And we put the goggles on. All around us are olfactory trails crisscrossing like a vast spider web. And after rainfall, they're all washed away. They are long-term and short-term scent posts. And what happens is the mongooses and the meerkats here will travel along these scent posts, remarking them. So although there are many different routes, depending on the food availability, rainfall patterns, what's happening with potential rivals infiltrating their territory or breeding opportunities, they will change the routes that they follow. However, on any given day, they will go past the same marking spots every time. Right. The birds that are calling now are not alarming. I'm hearing many different bird species here. Spreo bicolor. That's the pied starling. I'm also hearing masked weaver, Placius velatus and Placius capensis, Cape weaver. All right, going past recent storm damage. There was a flood last year, a flood again the start of this year, and a massive flood, unprecedented in the area on record as far as I've come across. And I've been in this valley since 2001 and on my reserve since 2008. All right, she's found something, possibly a millipede, an arthropod. She's dragging it along extensively there. And meerkats also do this to remove any chemical defenses or biting apparatus from various prey. There are a lot of detritivores out right now. Again, detritivores, they eat detritus, rotting vegetation. Some people confuse the arthropod segmented animal, the millipede, with the centipede, which is dorso-ventrally flattened and is in fact a carnivore and has venom. All right, she's moving quite a lot. You can see there, trotting off. Again, many people are surprised when they see wildlife in reserves as well, like Kruger Park, etc., walking along roads, and they're like, why are they doing this? It's because it's just a lot easier and visibility is better. So they use these often as hunting corridors too, because they don't know what's in the dense vegetation. Imagine, and let's do this as a point of view. This is our height. I would not do this if she didn't know me, because she would see this crouching down of mine now as if I'm a predator. In the distance is the reserve river, and that's the river bank, way off in the distance. This entire area is covered in kaolinite clay and calcrete, chalk deposits, just like the Nossob, the Ayob, and the Kuruman riverbed systems up in the Kalahari desert study sites. All right, recently the reserve fields, all of this is reserve here, have been harvested. The lucerne, alfalfa there, Medicago sativa, 16 to 18 foot nitrogen channeling super root systems going into the ground. They are highly drought resistant and of course also highly edible. All right, she's seen something there. And I know what she's seen. Looks to be the dominant male. That's an escape tunnel, and they've met up again by the looks of it. Just increasing the volume now. We've moved a long way already as far as their body lengths are concerned. Many people don't even consider this. Meerkats can travel a few kilometers. That's our kilometers in a single day. But if you take it in meerkat body lengths, or here, mongoose body lengths, that's the equivalent of you going 10 or 20 kilometers a day just to get some food. Every day. And after the rainfall, when scent has washed away the scent patterns from a territory, there's a defense mechanism creature again. She wiped her face briefly. Her long vibrissae, the equivalent of whiskers, help to guard her eyes. And she has a nictitating membrane, like a windscreen wiper, the same as the meerkats, coming across her eye. That's a brief look at me. She's not running from me. She's looking for the dominant male. He must be moving along quickly to mark his territory. We'll no doubt see him again. She's looking for him. She's our best way of finding where he's going. She's following his scent trail. So he's moving along, scent marking everything. Again, for those who didn't know about this, we've had major floods in the area. So all of the scent is washed away from the territory. So every day they're doing the equivalent of what I used to call meerkat marathons. This is a mongoose marathon. Let's have a look back quickly. I don't want to lose track of where she's going. I'm getting very close now. All right, we're right in the middle of the succulent Karoo ecosystem here. Succulent plants absorb water, and as they get drier, the salt content increases, so the osmotic potential changes, and they will suck up even more water. So right now they're absolutely bursting with water, and you can see many of the beautiful yellow flowers. We've got magenta, purple, orange. Many different species occur here. This is their natural habitat. They are indigenous plant species here. We will not see a lot of grass species in this area, for example. All right, just a quick look back. It's easy to lose perspective of where we've actually traveled from. Reserve entrance, Stone Dojo. Let me zoom out even more. Meerkat Mansion Research Base. So we were right over there at the start. And now on 21 minutes worth of videoing and edited again, this is where we are. Her burrow is still over 1 kilometer away from here, and she may be heading to that one this evening. Meerkats have burrow systems right throughout their territory, so that they'll just sleep at the next most convenient one, and so do the mongooses here. Water mongoose, small grey mongoose, large grey, also known as the Egyptian mongoose, all occur here. This is probably one of the most densely populated areas for the Viverridae and Herpestinae species in Africa, in fact. Think about it. Meerkats, yellow mongooses, small grey mongooses, water mongooses, Egyptian mongooses. That's why I call it the Meerkat Magic Valley. But of course, it's also mongoose magic. All right, still going along the road. It's quite a long video stream. I'm just going to keep it going. I'm very curious to see where she's going. She's definitely doing a lot of scent checking there. Did you see that? That's what I call an SSMS. For those who followed my work, you'll know what I'm talking about. For those who are new to it, a scent short message system. She's sniffing the air as well. Pheromonasal cavity. We also have them. Ours are just very poorly developed now in humans compared to the wildlife. There's an entire world of smell all around us. Most people camouflage it with perfumes and deodorants to disguise their pheromones. Animals, of course, advertise. So what's going on here is basically the equivalent of smell mail, smellogram, never mind Instagram or TikTok X. That's old news. Twitter. This is the real world. This is the smell world. It's been going on for a long time, and right there is in fact a long-term scent post. That was a very quick urine mark. So not just the scent glands that are being used now, but actual urine deposited in a specific spot. She's definitely still following the scent trail of the male. And let's zoom out again. Now, I was planning to go for a mountain bike ride. I do these pretty much every day after doing other gym. For those who follow my Stone Dojo gym video streams, there's a separate channel and many social accounts on that as well. For those who are interested in fitness and longevity and endurance and all the rest. But exercising outdoors in nature is, of course, a beautiful combination. Incredibly fresh air. It's eco gym. All right. Now I would be doing that. However, I came outside for a little walk around to get my bike ready. And I decided to film. And here we go. Incidental, there's another auto groom. Very briefly, just a quick check on me. We are following, I say we because you're with me in this bizarre device I'm carrying. Isn't it incredible that we can do this? I remember back in the 90s, there was no such thing as a cell phone like this. Now I'm able to film in high definition what's happening around me. It's incredible, and share it with the world. So, as we walk along these secretive pathways, I can tell you right now, I've not walked along this specific route before. since 2008. And that means I can tell you without a doubt, I'm the first human in history to ever walk along this pathway with wild yellow mongooses in the area. Fact. And you're with me for the walk, so let's see where she goes. I just love doing something for the very first time in history. Yeah, it's quite a mind trip, really, if you stop and think about that just for a moment. Doing something that nobody else has ever done before. And it's happening right now. And I'm aware that it's happening. Many people are introspective, and they'll look back at something and go, oh, I should have spent more time in that moment. I like to say, mongoose magic moments, meerkat magic moments. Live in the now. Be present. Right now. This is the real deal. An unedited wildlife documentary. For those who've been following from the start of the video stream, I think you'll be quite surprised because I'm giving you the really behind the scenes now. There's a scent mark. Look at that. Tail curved. That's a long-term scent mark. We'll have a look at that in a moment. Now, it's very unusual. Just a quick check on me. Yep. That's definitely fresh yellow mongoose dung from the dominant female Geabonga from the Tsebokolodi Yellow Mongoose Group. Note when she stands up how her arms stick outright, parallel to her pretty much, like that. Meerkats have their arms hanging down when they stand up like that. Alright, let's just have a look here. Now in the Kalahari desert we'd be collecting samples. Oh, look at this. There's actually an escape tunnel right here. And this is not the first time she's visited here. Let's have a look. This is very unusual to be able to see this as it happens. Now, I'm not going to touch that. It's their scent post, and this is a demographic project, long-term research project on mortality, death rates, natality, birth rates. And here I can see, even after the rainfall, it's still here. Long-term scent posts. So she's just added to that. This is a midden, a latrine. And you've just seen it for yourself. Wild yellow mongoose, tolerating my presence as I follow her along a secretive trail that I have never even seen here before. Right, for those of you who know my other source of income here, because I'm completely self-funded, there's the Meerkat Mansion again. This is all blue gum tree. Yes. Eucalyptus camaldalensis, all the way from Australia originally. It's an invasive alien that will drink thousands of liters of water a day. Cost me nearly 30,000 Rand to have these removed. Way back, 2008. Along with the Populus excandescens, that's on a neighbor's property. All of this was covered in them as well. It's now completely cleared. Again from me, 2022. You can video search on my Alien Hunter series on YouTube. Again, always just tag the Meerkatman in a search and you'll find all my other videos there. There are many, many categories going back to 2009. Hundreds of videos about reserve life and all sorts of other things that happen in the area that I find interesting. I'll put them up. All right, still following along this path. Just incidentally, for people from around the world who know me and have walked with me, that's many thousands of people from around the world, over decades now, but not here specifically on this pathway, since I'm the first to follow her here. This is what I call bush etiquette. It's not standing randomly on vegetation that you can avoid. Even when I was walking around the house, I was being careful to mask the crunching sounds of dead vegetation. However, instead of just crushing this beautiful succulent, I'm aware. It's all about being in the moment and being aware. And not using the same pathway again and again and again, which will lead to the equivalent of trampling soil compaction. Quick conservation points. With meerkats and with mongooses, their wildlife hotels, which you can also Google search for me, where I've discussed them extensively, and in my book, Meerkats from 2016, where I discuss them. Wildlife hotels are full of different residents that use them and can inherit these over many generations. These wildlife hotels or burrow systems can be hundreds or even thousands of years old. Nobody knows for sure. What we do know from decades of research here and in the Kalahari desert is that these are inherited from one generation to the next, and they are maintained. So they are flood proof because they've stood the test of time. Right, I've come across another interesting plant species here. Also oxalic acid. I'm going to stop briefly because she's paused up ahead, just to give you a bit of botany. As a professional nature conservationist, many people think I only work with certain species. That's incorrect. The entire planet is my workroom. Every species. This is Mesembryanthemum guericianum. You can Google search it, Mesembryanthemum guericianum. Also full of oxalic acid, just like that oxalis, an easy name, that I was eating earlier in the video. Let's have a look. It's full of blistery like bubbles, and they're full of oxalic acid. I'm too zoomed in here. Let's just do a quick change of camera. Hello again, everyone. Very tasty. While I'm at it, let's have a look at a succulent here as well. Crunchy. Bit of twig there. All right, because all around me is a big salad. Delicious. Wow. It's not surprising that Tswana angulata, the angular tortoise, and Geochalone pardalis, the leopard tortoise, live in this area too, and are in fact residents of the wildlife hotels. They will estivate, the equivalent of hibernation, but for reptiles in winter. So right now, that's exactly where they'll be, hidden in the burrow systems. When they start to emerge, probably around September, depending on the weather patterns, because we should still get snow. Oh, look at that, scrub hair. Quickly zooming in. Shout out to Alessia Torcini in Italy. I was just talking to her about these earlier. Lepus saxatilis. Again, you can Google search any of these names. People have asked me before, oh, you're just saying random names. Isn't it wonderful having Google? You can check everything I've said. All right. Part of my profession is to learn about all the different names, to categorize and catalog everything. It's like a big storybook. I've just caught up with the dominant male up ahead. There he is, gone off into the vegetation. We'll probably find him near the burrow. It's like a big storybook. Every plant, every rock, every species in the area is basically a word in the book. And if you learn how to read them, like this invader plant that has come down property recently, this is a very prickly, nasty little thing, but it can get to over 2 meters high. Yeah, this is Salsolikali, Russian tumbleweed. All right, let's move along. I'm not going to go into the alien plant species in great detail now, but they are invasive and they take over areas without many people even realizing that they are there, the plant species. Like with the Men in Black films, for anybody who hasn't seen them, I call them aliens. So all around us are illegal invader species that are coming into a habitat without anybody even realizing they're there, except the Men in Black equivalent. Nature conservationists such as myself are aware of these, and we see them all over the place. So we cannot simply look around and go, oh, look at all the plants. We're like, oh, there's an alien, there's a predator of an alien, etc. We can see all of those. That's the story. Just learning the alphabet. So again, scientific names for any other scientists around the world specifically, they know exactly what I'm referring to whenever I use those names. There's no confusion at all. Brrr. You may wonder, well, where is the burrow? Unlike the Kalahari Desert, which has vast areas of open sand, and burrows are easy to see, burrows are always covered in dense vegetation. So unless you know what to look for, you will not see them. And that is unfortunately why they are easily plowed over when people plant crops or houses are built over them, and entire generations of wildlife hotels are destroyed without people even realizing it. The great tragedy is many of the wildlife inhabitants will go into these wildlife hotels to escape from the danger, the noise of plows, of trampling livestock who trample burrows to get the minerals and other nutrients from deep beneath the ground. I'm talking about domestic stock, sheep, goats, cattle. Wildlife do not trample the burrows. It's incredible. I've seen huge kudu over 700 kilograms, and eland over 800 kilograms. Traguleptus, Strepsiceros, Torotragus. Brrrp. Brrrp. All right. Just stopping there briefly. She's being very alert as she approaches the burrow system, which is in fact just up ahead. There are dozens of entrances and exits. Please also note I never use GPS coordinates on any of my videos or images. This is also a wildlife protection feature. People who advertise the specific locations of animals could in fact be putting them in danger. I'm being very careful because here we have lots of crunchy vegetation. I've walked a long way already. Let's have a look back along this specific wildlife trail. Again, the first time I've seen her use this part. I've seen her use this section, but not that section. Now I know there's a midden and an escape tunnel way off that direction. In that direction rather, and then going up round past the base, way up on the top of the roof there is that 15-meter high antenna for the wireless internet here to get over that distant riverbank, way off, and way off up that way, the opposite riverbank. All right, you're getting quite a grand tour of what's going on. I'm still waiting to see where she's going next. It's so important not to lose concentration when you are with these animals. So although I'm talking to you, my focus is on her. Even when I'm panning around, I know where she is. It's so important not to disturb her. I can lose all the trust I've gained over all these years in a moment. For those who are watching, I'm going to demonstrate something very quickly, and I'll stop talking and make a sound and watch what happens. And then I'll make another sound just to let her know it's all right. See how she stopped? Immediately carries on. That's wild. It's tolerance. And that's the difference between a tame animal, which I can test very quickly. If an animal doesn't actually react to the sounds that it would react to, it's been tamed. And that is, for anybody out there who's doing that, it's unethical for all the reasons I've mentioned. I won't go into the details now with chimpanzee and gorilla, but it has happened with them too. They became tamed by researchers. Poachers were able to get right up to them because the animals trusted people due to the researchers who tamed them. And then researchers couldn't get anywhere near the animals afterwards because the animals were now terrified of people from the poachers, and that included the researchers. And then they started imitating the sounds. The nickname Meerkatman is not my own. It was given to me by the film crews I've worked with, BBC, National Geographic, Discovery Channel, and the list goes on. You can check my work. It is not because I imitate the animals. I can imitate many of the 36 different meerkat sounds that I've recorded over the last few decades. However, I don't do that when I'm with the animals. I use modified sounds. So it is in fact interspecies communication. Neuro-linguistic programming. I touch on this pretty much every video. for new viewers. NLP, psychology. It is creating an associative link, a positive or negative association to a specific sound. So the prrrp is a intellectual property call of mine, in fact, used way back in 93 already in the Kalahari desert, and I still use it for different groups. But there are also other sounds that I use. Tsebokolodi. That's one. She's just done 2 scent marks there. You may have noticed the tail being lifted again. She's arrived at the burrow. She's scent marking, sniffing, wiping her scent like cats do onto vegetation, and checking extensively. Of course, there could be other visitors such as snakes. Cape cobra nudgenivia occurs here, as does Bitis irritans, puff adder, which is an ambush predator, and they are the most dangerous of all the predators for mongooses here and meerkats. If they are encountered in a burrow, it's a confined space, so the animals will first check very carefully before going into any wildlife hotel. This is just the normal policy. With meerkats, the first one up in the morning is the one I call the weather forecaster, and if the weather's not appealing, they'll simply go back beneath the ground. Hence the name forecaster, and nobody else will come up. In the evening, when meerkats return to the burrows, late afternoon on colder parts of the year, I still see in the dense vegetation there. I'm basically strafing, going across sideways here, filming this. There she is. Oh, it's difficult to make out. The camouflage is incredible, even now in this green vegetation. So imagine when it is all dull and burned out in midsummer, which will happen. There she is already, moving down to this massive and beautiful acacia karoo. For those who know this particular area, you'll know that this tree wasn't even here when I started working with this group. So from 2008, there was no thorn tree here. Many generations of babies have been born under this tree, not only of yellow mongoose species. The porcupine and ant bear also live here. Can you see her? Because I can see her. And guess who's with her? What a beautiful conclusion. The dominant male is right there. They found each other. Let me rephrase that. They never lost each other. He was just doing a scouting mission ahead of time. Scent marking. She overmarked his scent. There you can see. There he is coming out. He's on the right. I'll gradually move past here. I have to be extremely careful. I'm at the security of their burrow. Initially, I couldn't get closer than 400 plus meters away with a Nikon spotting scope. Very difficult on the vision. 75 times magnification, staring through a lens for hours at a time. And that's as close as I could get. Of course, because yellow mongooses, like meerkats and other mongoose species, don't trust people. Yeah, you heard that correctly. You see them all over. You're looking at tame animals, or you're looking at a study site specifically where animals have learned to treat people like objects, or you're looking at a camera trap where the animals aren't even aware of anyone's presence. Here, they're fully aware of my presence, and again, they don't trust people. This is a very selective trust that I've gathered and earned. I was just touching on this earlier, how easily it can be lost. Let's have a closer look at the dominant male. The name Giabonga and Gakulo are in honor of my mother, Estelle McIlrath. Art school, very famous art teacher. You can also see a lot of her work in the Dias Museum in Mossel Bay. Shout out To everyone there. Another education facility I greatly respect. And she gave the name to the dominant female who just growled a moment ago. That was a greeting call, incidentally. It's a familiar growl. I won't make it. I can imitate some of their sounds, but they would interact with me then, and that's not the plan. The plan is just to let them know it's just the same object. You recognize me. I've never threatened you. And in order not to threaten anybody, you need to know everybody's tolerance level, because if one animal loses its trust, it will influence everybody else, and they will also lose their trust of the observer or anybody with the observer. Film crews who have worked with me know when they walk with me, they have to stay right up, close together as a single unit, so that there are minimal distractions to the wildlife that we work with. In fact, you're with me now in this device, looking through it pretty much from anywhere on the planet. It's incredible to think that. This is auto-grooming. Allo-grooming, A-L-L-O, grooming, is when many animals groom. And with meerkats, it's a very good way of establishing hierarchy within a particular group. Because usually animals who are of a lower rank will initiate grooming first, and they will not be groomed back often. So the frequency of who initiates and who reciprocates the groom can be established, and I'm talking about thousands of hours of data collection here to do that, and you can work out exactly what the hierarchy is at any given point in time. During the breeding season it changes. Subordinate animals will be a lot more submissive and groom a lot more frequently and not be groomed back as much. And it gets a lot more complicated, especially when you're looking at 20 or 30 animals all doing this pretty much simultaneously and recording it all on a handheld device to work out how long each is grooming for, who started the groom, stopwatches are running. It gets very, very interesting. And it will teach anybody who is not good at multitasking how to become a multitasking master or mistress. Right, just a few research terms there thrown in for you. Let's have a look around. We've got about half an hour before sunset. It doesn't look like I'm going to get out on the mountain bike ride today. I'll stay here rather. I've been filming for 47 minutes. It's probably around 14 to 16 degrees centigrade today. There isn't a wind, otherwise the chill factor would take it down to maybe 8 degrees centigrade. That is the Great Black Mountain Range in the distance. Die Groot Swartberge, again, you can see that very well known. The old man of the mountain with his big nose and forehead. Can you see it there? That will be covered in snow probably in the next few weeks. And again, that's in the Meerkats book. You'll see meerkats and mountains with snow in the background. First time that was ever filmed in recorded history. Meerkats with snow, wild meerkats. People thought, oh, they only occur around sand dunes in the Kalahari Desert, and they were wrong. Hence the name Meerkat Magic when I discovered them here in 2001. When I filmed them for the very first time with the snow on the mountain behind them, it was a piece of history, and it felt incredible to actually document that. And now you can see it anywhere in the world because it is in the Meerkats book. It was published in 2016 in England, Australia and New Zealand. And you can find the book in libraries and universities all around the world. And if you're lucky, you might pick up a copy on Amazon. Probably pretty weather beaten and old because it was a limited print run. First conservation book done on meerkats ever. Alright, lots of facts that I've thrown out today. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, an unedited wildlife documentary. You never know what might happen as we walk along here. We've gone a long way already. Probably about 2.5 kilometers. Going way off that way and up past the base, past the blue gums. I've touched on many different topics, and each one I could talk to you probably for a few hours about, so they're just introductions. You can follow up on any of these topics. You can contact me, or you can go have a look at my video archives. That's what they're there for. I'm all about sharing information, conservation through education. Dominant male having a little auto groom there. Now he will have already checked this burrow entrance very carefully, and I see there's some dung. And you see that dark patch just ahead of him. There it is, just to the left of his face. Yeah, so that's also part of a midden. All right, it's an incredible for me to be standing here again. You've seen it unedited. This is exactly how it's gone. Here I am. Mongoose magic moments. The dominant female has walked a lot. Even in the short time we followed her, 51 minutes now, she's covered a huge amount of distance. If you take her body length again, that's many, many kilometers in human terms traveled. And she didn't even do that much foraging. It was mainly scent marking, overmarking, checking messages. And isn't that just amazing to see how that scent trail led her right to the exact place of the dominant male? There's no ways she could see through this dense vegetation. Again, there's a bit of an interaction there. She went up and sniffed him. Let's see. Absolutely beautiful. Now in the Botswana, there's another bit of auto grooming. Yellow mongooses can be very grey in appearance, but the white tipped tail is still characteristic. The dominant male just coming out there. Oh, he's absolutely gorgeous. It's wonderful to see him again. I was concerned that he had been caught by a predator. There are many predators living here. Of course, everything is protected in this area and can carry on their normal life cycles. Can you imagine, and I won't do it, if I had to move suddenly? The kind of disturbance my ignorance could cause here would be catastrophic to my work. Especially at this time of the day, there would be no reason for them to come out from the burrow system. So even now, as they're relaxing, I have to be even more careful about sounds that could disturb them. You can see they're not even looking at me, but if I do something that they're unfamiliar with, just a little scrape of my foot moving, even a tiny centimeter, they are hyper alert. It's so easy for people who watch my videos without seeing this just to think, oh yeah, you just walk up to the animals, the meerkats, the mongooses, etc., and they're like, that's not what happens. All right, I've changed my position as I go down on my haunches here. Now, of course, this is a typical stance of many predators who will pounce on their prey, and that is why I'm using this. No, this is not just a hand. In case anybody was like, oh, what do you mean using this? This is a displacement reassurance. I've been using it for decades, and it works with many species, even cows in this area. Katunguru herd, the cow whisperer, walking with cattle. You can check those videos as well. I've tried it on many species, including chimpanzee. It builds an association which is visual. It's no use at all if animals can't see you, however. That's where the calls come in. There are also olfactory associations. My shoes. I have different shoes for different species that I work with and different groups of those species. Different meerkat groups would recognize different scent, and if I was to wear a shoe with a different scent pattern on it, I could disturb a group and cause an inter-group war. INTER, not intra, INTRA, which would be in the group. This is inter, between groups. All right, just a bit of scientific jargon there. I usually explain the jargon terms in more common terms as well, and that's also one of the reasons why I like to say open source research, conservation through education, not just for the scientific publications, of which I have plenty of. You can find them in universities in Britain as well. But many people who are not scientists will never have access to that information. And that's one of the reasons why, in case you're wondering, yes, I'm on my haunches now. Over 6 foot frame, I'm having to extend here very slowly. I'm being watched. This reminds me of groups of 20 plus meerkats all watching my movements. And if one of them alarmed, they would alarm everybody instantly. So I only ever move at the pace of the least tolerant individual. All right, that's an alarm looking now at a dog barking from about 7 kilometers away from one of my neighboring properties, and a person shouting. There you can see it. Now, I've been talking this whole time without causing this reaction. Just letting her know I've got nothing to do with that disturbance. Don't associate me with that dog. See how her ears are pricking forward. Now this video is going to take me hours and hours to upload onto YouTube. Fortunately, I'll be able to do this overnight if all goes well, and I'll post the link for the next few days. Hardidar ibis, again, Bostricha hagadash. 10 points for anyone who got that. Of course, don't think you can all just leave now. There's a written exam. I will be testing everybody who watched this video. And if you are here, you will not be permitted to leave until you get 100% on your test for every scientific name and everything else I've told you. All right. Just a little humor for you. Of course, I jest now, but with research assistance, you would be tested. Again, Bostricha hagadash in the distance. Bit of anatomy here. Again, I've covered this extensively in my Meerkats book because I do discuss the mongooses there as well from this particular study group. They have thin paper-like ears, almost like a cat's ears, with fine hair covering them. The meerkats have a thick fleshy valve covering their ears. Rather within the ear, it's a thick fleshy ear. And I'm just being distracted here because the dominant male has come out again. Very good. I'm being extra careful with him because, again, he has been away from the group for over a month or more. So I need to work at his pace of tolerance. She's a lot more tolerant of me. Kakulu. But of course, he wouldn't even be coming out or allowing me near if he was not tolerant of me. I must just be extra careful so he remembers that I'm the same trusted object he's seen before. Many, many times. Freezing cold days before sunrise. Boiling hot days of over 45 degrees centigrade. All to make these moments now possible. To collect information as if I'm not even here. Again, the animals know I'm here, but they interact with one another as if I am not. Now, there would have been no way to record that trail with a static camera trap or that midden that we discovered together and that new bolt hole system and know who it came from if I was not able to follow this very secretive species as I have done. So that was a culmination of what, 2008 to 2024? Yeah, it's a long time. 16 years. It's easy to forget how long. And after all this time, I had never seen that root before. Look at that, the dominant male starting to close his eyes. Beautiful orangey yellow eyes, almost like a cat's eyes, except they're not. They're like goat's eyes, because a cat has a vertically slitted pupil. That was a trick comment of mine. And yellow mongooses have a horizontally slitted pupil. There, you can just make it out. They are crepuscular. They can be active at dawn and dusk, and diurnal, active during the daytime hours, and nocturnal. I have commented on this many times with many videos, but I have seen them active at 3 o'clock in the morning. I had a study site along with Oxford, Stellenbosch, along the coast. I won't mention the specific area. Past Heidelberg, Swellendam, Witsunt, on yellow mongoose populations there, where groups are up to 13 individuals. Here, this group has been over 6 individuals in the past. They usually don't have more than 2 babies at a time, in my experience. Twins are fairly common. The gestation period is pretty much the same as with meerkats, 10.5 to 11 weeks. Let's see what's going on with the dominant female. All right, yeah, we can see that eye. They have very fine hair, almost like a cat's, covering their bodies. Meerkat's hair is very coarse, like a dog's. So this is really like fur underneath the feet, allowing them to not lose heat if they get wet. The meerkats get wet because they have no hair underneath their feet, so that they can lose heat easily. They get very cold and have to go back into a burrow. Again, I referenced my book on this. You can actually see meerkats that are wet and full of mud. When it rains, they will stay in their burrows, whereas yellow mongooses can actually come out and forage. So these are highly adaptable species and have a much greater range where they occur in. 5 toes on the front feet, 5 on the back feet is what you'll find with banded mongooses. Mongoose mongo I mentioned earlier, Queen Elizabeth Park, Uganda. Meerkats, 4 on the front feet, 4 on the back feet. 4 short nails on the back, 4 short nails on the back foot of the yellow mongoose. 4 long nails on the front feet of the meerkats. 5 short nails on the front feet of the yellow mongoose. All right, just threw those few comparisons in for you. Again, banded mongooses 5 and 5. Yellow mongoose 5 in the front, 4 in the back. Meerkats 4 and 4, long in the front. So you can tell the difference between their tracks as well quite easily. All right. Bit of an interaction there, sniffing, quick groom. Dominant female again coming out. Just checking me very briefly. The time it takes them to look away from something that they recognize is very quick. So if she was to look at me for a lot longer, that would show. There is a look again. I'm just going to do a hand gesture. Instantly. Displacement from what she was doing, looking at something I have maybe done. And basically, all right, your code has been checked, you pass. Right, that's a sound from the distant road. It's amazing how noise pollution can travel such great distances. People are often very unaware of just how noisy they are, but I hear them out here. and the animals hear them. In case you're wondering, the dominant male is still up. He's just there. Streptopelia capicola, Cape turtle dove, calling in the distance. Work harder, work harder, work harder is the onomatopoeic sound people have told me about before. And in the evening, one Dutch guest once told me, drink lager in the evenings. So there we go. That's how some people remember the bird calls and the names. Cape turtle dove. The other bird a moment ago that flew past, Sprue bicolor. There again, those whistling sounds. All right, there's a dog barking way off to the south-southeast towards town direction. Too far to be a threat here. It's not even causing any interaction. All right, this was not a plan of mine to be out here following them specifically to the burrow. A true mongoose magic moment. I wanted to say meerkat magic moment. I'm so accustomed to saying that. And I could use a drink of water. I'm definitely going to appreciate that when I get back to the base. That oxalic acid is bitter. It's very tasty, but it is also dehydrating me a bit. All right, that's a very unusual call to have heard there. That just doing the phonetics of it. I wouldn't make the actual call here. And that was again an interaction from the dominant female going up to the dominant male, who's now moved off to the right. All right, again, these are things I would be documenting if I was doing that kind of data here, what time they wake up, what time they go to sleep, but I already know these data types from many years of collecting it already. So that has been documented extensively. Let's have another look towards the setting sun. Beautiful as it dips closer to the Great Black Mountain Range. Africa sunset, unedited from the Meerkat Magic Valley Reserve. You can hear the myriad calls. Before much longer, the frogs will start to call from all the water features on the reserve as well. It's white noise right there. It's very, very... Let's just see the effect it will have on... we have the Bok Makiri. Bok Makiri, B-O-K-M-A-K. Bok Makiri, K-I-R-I-E. Quite a name. Telephorus zeylonis. A horrendous scientific name, that. Almost as bad as Bistricia haggardash for the hardida ibis. Sacred ibis Threscionis ethiopicus. Now we have Telephorus zeylonis. Unbelievably horrendous names. I'm just having a quick laugh to myself about all the names I've had to learn over the years. We were penalized heavily if we got these incorrect in our examinations in nature conservation. Half a point taken off. Oh, another very unusual call. A submissive call and a greeting call at the same time. It's like it's me, basically, because the dominant male reacted because he was half asleep when the dominant female walked past. She's on the right, scent marking the entrance there. Pixocephalus adspersus, the bullfrog. Ornithorhynchus anatinus. Can you believe some of these names? I wonder if anybody knows what that is. If you do, you can put it in the comments. Ornithorhynchus anatinus, duck-billed platypus. My lecturer, Andrew Lowry, if you ever see this, We were on a practical in one of the reserves, nature conservation, and he asked, does anybody know the bullfrog scientific? And I've never forgotten it. Pixocephalus aspersus. And then he thought he'd catch us out. Duckbill platypus, Ornithorhynchus anatinus. Good times. Shout out to you, Louise Dodgen, if you ever see this. Yeah, you'll remember those tests. We were in the same course in nature conservation. All those scientific names. Huh? Once you learn them, they're there forever. Even if people decide to change them. I believe the acacia karoo has been renamed. This tree right here, but I'm not renaming it. Because you can still use the original scientific name and it will come up on Google, no matter what they decide to reclassify them as. We were told that once you have the scientific name, that's it. But of course, with genetic research and reclassification of taxonomy is occurring. Sula capensis, Morris capensis, etc. There are so many examples of this. All right. Probably not too much longer and they'll go in for a little siesta. Now meerkats will have a siesta midday because they're completely diurnal with their round pupils and black tip to the tails. But, as I've mentioned, depending on food availability and what they've done over the day, yellow mongooses like these two beautiful creatures right here, dominant male closest to us, Giabonga and Gakulu behind him, could simply be coming out later on, again, to go out foraging for mice and other animals that are a lot less alert in the evenings as they come out to forage. Rhabdomus pumilio is definitely one of the species that they will hunt. Striped mouse. But the owls are also out at night. And there are many species of owls here. The barn owl, Tyto alba, eagle owl, Bubo capensis as well, Cape eagle owl. All right. Dominant male where? All right, there you are. I see you. Yes. There it is again, the displacement reassurance. Always am very careful to build a positive association to my presence, and that's why I have to remain alert even when they are seemingly not alert. In the distance, chickens are celebrating the laying of an egg. Amazing how sound travels. That's at least 4 kilometers away from here. I know exactly where that chicken is now as well. It's so bizarre, within a few meters of its enclosure at least. One of the neighboring properties. It's incredible how domestic animal sounds stand out against the white noise. It's like exclamation marks in the punctuation orchestra of sound here. Incidentally, these video streams that I do are also a way of me just recording a little video log for myself. It's like a little diary of happy memories for me that I can look back at my channel at any time in the future and be transported back to that very moment. Again, Hardy-da ibis. There they go. Celebrating life. Isn't it beautiful? There are dozens of them that live here, all along the riverine ecology there, which stretches for many kilometers up into the mountains. It's one of their favorite roosting places here. Waiting for those stragglers. All right, and back to... Yes, there we go. That was the final curtain close call for them. And I stop calling now because I don't know what they're seeing and I don't want to be associated with it. Because I don't know if it's negative. They could come across a snake. All right, I see. The dominant male has gone below to investigate, but the dominant female is still up. There he is. In the burrow there, and she's just there. You see their movement. Yeah. And here, he's coming up again. Scent mark, did you see that as he came out? All is well, everything's fine there. Bit of a... Please notice how none of the animals are fed, none of them are marked, none of them are captured or handled. There are no morphometrics here. There are no biotrack or talonic transmitters. There are no tattoos. There are no ear clips, notches, gentian violet, haircuts, or any other kind of marking here. There's another scent mark, or when I was saying no other marking by humans. If I was to even think of cross, I will never do, I would lose their trust. It is something they are not familiar with, and I don't want them to be familiar with it either. People could transmit viruses, pathogens that we don't even know of to wildlife. This is only tolerance, and that's it. Can be lost every single time I see them. And that moment is very precious for me here because I never know if I might see them again. It's a dangerous world out here. It's the real world. Everything is trying to make a living off everything else. Having the incredible privilege of following a family over many generations since 2008. There's, of course, a great deal of tragedy as well. Animals that I've watched grow up eventually leave and form their own groups on different properties which are not protected. And I do not reveal the location of those areas either for the animals' protection. Other animals fight. Other animals have predations occur. So thank you anybody who has watched this with me today for joining us, because it's unique in the world what we have been experiencing today. And it may never be seen again like this. It's incredibly precious to me. And no money can buy it. Not all the billions of Elon Musk or anybody else out there can buy it. It's not for sale. And ethics are not for sale either. Not here. There are lines that simply will never be crossed. The animals here live out their lives as they choose, without being captured or handled or anything else. They're simply living their lives, and we have a snapshot window into their lives. One hour, 19 minutes so far of not knowing what might happen next. I hope you have been entertained and maybe have learned something. Perhaps you will share this information with others, and we can have that conservation through education philosophy shared. Because the fact is, everybody, we're all on the same planet. Doesn't matter who you are, where you were born, what you look like, how much money you have or don't have, your political or religious beliefs. We're all here, including the mongooses right now, And I like to say we are all genetic time travelers on this space rock. Time travelers because the genetics will carry on. Richard Dawkins talks about the selfish gene. Basically, we are just machines for our selfish genetics to travel along through time in. It just absolutely astounds me to think of this tiny planet that we're on right now. That massive ball exploding out there in space. It's only one of billions of stars that will be coming out into our visible spectrum before much longer. It's one of the most incredible places for stargazing here, incidentally. There's zero pollution. We don't have big factory stacks billowing out smoke and pollutants. The air is crisp and fresh and delicious. Oh, it certainly is an unusual treat for them to both be staying up so late. It's definitely getting colder. I'm getting a lot colder than they are, no doubt by now. My hands are starting to get cold. I'm not wearing my winter gloves yet. Unable to do that and film. All right, another interaction. Although I'm a professional nature conservationist, nature is for everybody. And what I like to say is if you take good care of nature, nature will take good care of you. It's what I tell all the inhabitants around the reserve here, who I provide firewood to. It's very zonated and selected. A lot of alien plants as well are chopped out and removed. Water, electricity, it's all supplied by the reserve to the local inhabitants here. For those who follow my work, you'll know about Team Shongololo as well, just to mention here briefly. You can also do a search on Facebook for them. Many of the local children from 3 years over 20 plus that I've watched grow up over the last decade plus in this area. Some of the older Shongololos, they'll know who I'm talking about. We spend a great deal of time together, especially in the school holidays, which have started as of 2 days ago. So they'll be coming up to the Storm Dojo gym, and I'm looking forward to that. Local reserve community integrated into the reserve. All right, it looks like they have both headed below. So I'm going to head off now. Last few moments. In case you're wondering what these are, research props. There were over a dozen of them here in the past. And it's time to go. Also, please notice how I've stopped calling. I'm not associating my sound with anything they are doing because I can't see their reaction to the Hardidar ibis either. All of this is burrow system, way off that way. Interestingly, people seem to have an incredible curiosity when it comes to burrows. Let's just have a look at one before I head back. You can see this long trail. This is all sand that's been kicked out from the entrance down there, all the way up. In the morning, they dig, just like the meerkats, flicking out the sand. Burrow maintenance, hotel maintenance. All right, I can move around a lot more easily now. See that? That was from a porcupine digging here about 2.5 years ago. It's now a major stormwater gutter, water channels into the ground quickly, preventing rill runoff, donga erosion from occurring, because it can easily infiltrate into the ground, which is as hard as compacted cement in areas. So porcupine. Hystrix africae australis, Eastervark, the iron pig, Afrikaans, stekelvark, Dutch, Stachelschwein, the Stegel, the Stachel, and the Acer, all referring to prickly defenses or as hard as iron, basically. It's a very tough creature, rodent that lives here and will be active probably in the next half an hour or so. It's going to be a dark night tonight. Ah, there is a slither of the moon coming out, but it's still going to be dark. All right, time to head back. You may wonder about this. This is a deterrent only. It's not blocking any wildlife movement. The cattle that come to visit this area to graze the lucerne fields have actual electric fencing to stop them going into certain areas. And when they see this, they don't go here either, even though this is not at all electrified. They think it is. Again, associative learning right there. So they stay away from the burrow. So this is a burrow system protected on the reserve. As I like to say, practice what you preach. The burrows are protected here from wildlife having their homes destroyed by domestic animals trampling their homes. Right, in a moment I'll be heading back. No cycling today. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Please do like and share. As I say on the usual social media, let everybody else know who might be interested in mongoose magic moments. Stay safe wherever you are. All the best.